Thank you, Chair. Just picking up on some of the evidence that we heard last Thursday from Dr McWhirter about the RCN survey back in April, which found 51% of respondents had actually been asked to reuse single items of PPE. What was your definition of running out of PPE? Would reuse of single items be counted as running out? And that's to Mr. Rees-Williams.
Or maybe Mr. Marin. Mr. Marin?
Please talk about that.
It's a question of which items of PPE. So, for example, visors have been reused a lot. And indeed...
No, sorry, apologies. It's not about it's not about which ones are okay to reuse. It's about single items being reused, such as masks. We heard about masks a lot on Thursday. And would you not see that as running out?
So I think that on masks, the clear guidance on single-use of masks, and we've been clear about using them for sessional purposes, that in terms of the respirator mask, we've done some small amounts of work on whether they can be appropriately cleaned as pilots, but not generally seen them as appropriate for reuse. So reuse has been much more in terms of what we have seen as a credible approach. Really face masks very clearly can be, face visors are clearly reusable. We've done some work on gowns, and those are the key things that we've seen people using. The individual reports of reuse I haven't seen, but would be happy to look at if we had those in front of us.
Ms Blake?
Well, I suggest you look at the RCN national survey. Can I ask a question about one thing that we seem to hear is a very different story from the front line. How much direct contact did you have with trade unions at this point, and were you responding to the issues and concerns?
And by that, just to be clear, do you mean BMA, RCN, Unison and other trade unions? Is that?
Yes, yeah.
Thank you. Mr Marin.
So I'd say that through this process, our main contact with the front line was through the NHS operational channels. So we had a daily stand-up call where we would look at both incoming stock and the outgoing distribution. Those calls involved the regional officers of the NHS. They were then talking to individual trusts. So we ran a daily communication in terms of asking trusts what they had, what they needed and where they were. That was our major source of information from the NHS. And then a set of wider conversations, particularly on the guidance, where we worked heavily with not only the infection control professionals in the NHS and the Scottish, Welsh and Irish public health services, but also with the Royal Colleges. So we had a wider professional engagement on what the right answer was and what the right use of PPE was, and then the operational conversation we ran through the NHS.
Ms Blake, before I move to Mr Blake.
You didn't triangulate the information, which is clearly very, very different from the trade unions. I do think that they were trying to get in touch with you to tell you about these issues. Do you have anything further to say about whether that would have been helpful to know that 51% of respondents were being asked to reuse items?
So we had conversations with members, leading members of the RCN, of the BMA at times, but I think our major route to the NHS was a daily conversation through the NHS operational channels. I think that is clearly the way we try to reach the front line and understand what's happening in the health service.
Okay, we're going to come back to some of this a little later.